Hey all, Dave from Blueberries Games here with another edition of $20 Magic Budget decks. Today's deck is Izzet Drakes. I'm a little more excited about this deck than most of the other ones because this is a deck that I actually play. Not this one specifically, but a version of it. This is derived from the modern version of the Phoenix decks that are out there. Again, this is budget decks though. We don't have the Phoenix that's really popular out there in this style of deck, but we have found ways to replace them. So let's go ahead and go over the Izzet Drakes deck. So most people go one of two ways. They go control style or they go burn style as their help for getting instants and sorceries into your graveyard. I went more with control. So today we're going to start off with the draw style so that you can get the cards that you need in your hand. I started off with a playset of Opt. Opt is very good for drawing cards that you need to draw. The Scry really helps us so that if you have a land on top, if you don't need the land, you can go ahead and put it on the bottom. So, and with the one to cast on this, it's usually first thing you do. You hope to get at least one or two of these in your opening hand. The second card is Reach Through Mists. Both of these cards together, they're called cantrips for those of you that don't know. Cantrips are usually spend 1 mana to draw a card. I went with 4 Reach Through Mists because the more draw, the more better. The other last part of the draw suite that we put in here is Anticipate. It acts kind of like an Opt. You get to look at the cards, put one of them in your hand, and then 2 of them on the bottom of your library. That way, if they don't go in their grave, that means you can use them later. At some point, I may end up looking at a card that can put some stuff into your grave to make some instants or put there faster. So I went with 2 Opts, or 2 Anticipates for this. The control aspect of this deck is where I like to stand. It's a counter magic suite. Usually getting the ability to not let your opponent cast creatures is a good thing, so I went with 4 Essence Scatters. The next card, the Remove Souls. These are basically Essence Scatters, but they're older. This is the original version of what Essence Scatter was. If your group is very tight on playing specific formats, this does not fit into anything except for into Vintage or to Legacy, any Legacy formats at all. If they are a little anal about it, we go ahead and we switch in for Essence Captures. Essentially, Essence Capture does the same thing as Essence Scatter, only it puts a +1/+1 counter onto a creature you have in play, which would be very helpful. I did not have any at the time of making this deck. I still don't have any. I have to open up some product and possibly hope to get a couple of them. If I redo this version for another con, I will go ahead and possibly put in the Essence Captures. Negates, this is to help prevent spot removal of your Drakes. This is your only way to stop removal of any kind. So you go ahead and save those for that. Unless there's something really dangerous that hits the board that you really need to get, make sure it doesn't drop, use your negates. 4 of them. Alright, the creatures of this deck. These are the Drakes. Not all of them are Drakes. This one's a Chimera. This is the weakest of the 3 that I have in here. This one is Flying Trample Star 3. The star for all of the creatures in this deck will be equivalent to instants and sorceries in grave, except for one of the cards. It actually counts the exiled ones. You can get these bad boys up to 9/3 really, really quickly if you need to, and drop it down 3rd or 4th turn, and you're basically putting pressure on your opponent from the get-go. Every one of them has flying for that evasion that you need. For this card, the trample is not really all that important. Not a lot of things in flying have a big ass, as they say, so you're not really going to worry about that. So 4 of those go in. The second creature is Enigma Drake. This is actually what started the whole thing. A star 4. This 4 toughness is important. It gets around lightning bolts and the lightning strikes and anything that does 3 damage. So the bigger ass is really important. It also has flying, and it does count all your instants and sorceries in your grave. So getting these down as quickly as possible is not always the best scenario. Sometimes you want to sit back and use your draw and your counter magic to set up the board so that when you drop one of these, you have counter magic backup. So you might not drop one of these until 5th or 6th turn. And the King of the Drakes. This one is the best of the 3. It may be more to cast, but it does a whole lot more. It lets you draw a card when it comes into play, possibly drawing that essential backup counter magic that you need. It also has the Star 4, but this one lets you count exiled cards in your that are no longer in your graveyard for instants and sorceries. That's important in case somebody's playing like a Bazooka Bog. Somebody nukes your entire graveyard, that they can still be relevant. This is more control style, so I didn't put a whole lot of the direct damage in. As far as direct damage goes for this, I only went with light direct damage, so I put in a playset of shocks. And then 2 lightning strikes. The lightning strikes are to get through things that have like a 3 toughness, or if you possibly just need an extra couple points of damage to the dome. Alright, now the rares for this deck. I went with 2 Earthquakes. Earthquakes because if you're playing aggro style decks and they're not flying, most aggro style decks are ground, like goblins or merfolk or what have you. Vampires, most of them. No, vampires might be a little bit different, but for the most part, most aggro style decks, Green Stompy, are ground based attackers. So I put 2 of those in there to protect you from possibly having an overrun on your hands. And again, I have said this, I went with a control style. I didn't do a whole lot of direct damage. I put Repeating Barrage in because the point of this deck is to attack with creatures, so the rate is actually relevant, and it comes back to your hand. So I wanted to make sure that there was some kind of like protection that was repetitive, so that you could kill creatures or do damage right to the dome. So that's why the Repeating Barrage. The special edition card, because you guys know my rule, I always put something special in the deck, a foil rare if possible. I went with Dictate of the Twin Gods. If you can imagine attacking in with a 9-3 stupid Drake or a 9-4 Drake, and your opponent going, yeah, why not, I'll take it, and then dropping this down as a flash, imagine their face when you do 18 damage to them. So that's a little surprise for you. Alright, and as far as the lands, basic islands, basic mountains, all that. My replacement for fetches, as always in every deck, is either Evolving Wilds or Terramorphic Expanse, so I had the 2 of them in there. And of course we're playing Izzet, so Izzet Guildgates. Gotta have at least some kind of dual land to help you with your mana fixing. So, and that's Izzet Drakes on a budget. So, again, as always, if you have any questions or concerns, go ahead and make comments below. I will get back to you any way I can. Like us on Facebook. I am Blue Bears Games on everything, so if you search me up on Blue Bears Games, you will find us on Twitter, on Facebook, and here on YouTube. Please like the video if you liked it. If you didn't, go ahead and send comments to me or send me a message to let me know what you do or don't like. And please subscribe to the channel. I'd like to get this going a little bit more. So, yeah. That is Izzet Drakes. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.